Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and this is Battlescape Infinity, a multiplayer space sim where hundreds of players can fight and fly within the same solar system, and as you can see, it features some rather spectacular planetary surfaces. So Battlescape is still in development, and you may recognise some of the features here. It's actually built upon the Nova engine, which has been around for a very long time now, and it's highly likely that you will have seen some of the seamless planetary landing videos that have done the rounds on YouTube, and you can see the new seamless planetary landing right in action here. This is on a volcanic moon, and the game will feature numerous planets and moon types, from gas giants all the way down to rocky moons, and of course planets with life as well. All of this will be contained within a single, true to scale, fully realised star system. So what is the game all about? Well, it's actually a massive space combat game. There'll be hundreds of players all contained within this single solar system here. The game, interestingly enough, is non-instant, so if you're up here on a space station flying around like this one, you can actually look down at the planet and you may see some other ships flying around many hundreds of miles away. There will be 3 distinct factions in the game, represented by massive corporations, and the players are free to choose which side they want to join. Each side will have access to numerous types of ships, from small fighters all the way up to capital class ships, and in addition to that, players will also have access to planetary outposts as well as large scale stations. Now each of these will serve a different purpose. Small outposts and small stations, for example, will be used to repair, outfit as well as supply small ships, whereas the largest stations will be able to deploy the largest ships. Basically then, the players will fight for control over key areas within the star system, and there will be various types of tactics used in order to do this, from a planetary fighting up to combat within space itself. For example, you'll be able to take a smaller ship, fly over a planetary surface like this under the radar so that you can approach a city or an outpost to take out its defense systems, and then a capital ship would be able to come into orbit and bomb the heck out of the outpost. Or maybe your players want to do an all-out assault on the enemy space station. So as you can see here, there are plans for all types of cities on the surfaces as well as different types of outposts, and many of these could serve different types of functions. The planetary type that these places are located on may well affect how you approach your objective, as the flight model is quite dramatically affected by the type of atmosphere. At the moment there are plans for 7 classes of ships. 4 of these fit within the small ships category and 3 of them within the capital class ships category. Now within the small ships there are interceptors, bombers, fighters and corvettes, and within the capital class ships there's destroyers, cruisers and carriers. Now all of these serve a different function. For example, interceptors are your standard very fast and very manoeuvrable type ships. Fighters, very similar to interceptors, but they're a little bit less manoeuvrable, a little bit less fast, but they're very good at attacking infrastructure. Bombers, well, you can guess what they're for. They're very good against surface dwellings, and they can also be used to attack capital class ships as well. And just in the same manner as lighter ships, the capital ships also have different purposes as well. Destroyers, for example, are great defensive ships. These are used to defend the larger capital ships, whereas cruisers can be used to attack the carriers and other capital ships. And carriers, of course, just like the name implies, these can be used as mobile spawn points. Now all capital ships will be controlled from the third person point of view. So the developers' idea for the game, their vision, is to create a world where there's various different types of combat scenarios across a multitude of different battlescapes. And these will range from space areas, asteroid areas, ring systems, and indeed planetary surfaces, and of course through the atmospheres of gas giants. I had the opportunity to play the prototype of Battlescape back last year. Now at that point it didn't really feature much in the way of gameplay, although there was some very basic combat in there, but naturally its most impressive feature was its seamless planetary landings, and the planets did look very good indeed. Unfortunately, access to the prototype is no longer available, as the servers for that have now been switched off. But alpha access for the game should begin within the next few months, early 2017 in fact. The developers are still taking pledges for the game, and you can see all that on Indiegogo. I'll link it in the video description. Battlescape then looks to be a very ambitious project indeed, not just in terms of the scope of its environment, but also in terms of the scope of the combat scenarios they're trying to support. Now, if they do manage to pull all this off, then I feel it's going to be a very impressive game. But of course, there's always the trap of potentially falling into the idea of aiming for a game that's too vast in scope. But it seems to me that the developers are very much aware of this, and therefore being very realistic about their aims. At some point in the future, they also want to include mod support, and right up front they want to include support for private servers in addition to the official dedicated servers. And one thing that I'm really looking forward to about this game is the Sandbox Mode. Now, whilst they're not going to be able to include a fully fledged single player campaign, what they are going to do is open up the game so that you can effectively play it offline on your own. And this won't offer all the combat scenarios, but it will allow you to freely explore the entire gorgeous environment. And you know me by now, that's something I'm sure I really would enjoy. Unfortunately, the game's not scheduled for release until September 2017, but as I said earlier, the alpha access should begin within the next few months, and shortly after that, beta access should also be available. And if you're interested in any of that, you can still pledge on the developer's Indiegogo page. I'll be keeping a close eye on this game and be bringing more videos to you in the future. If you want any more information on the game right now, then do check out the links in the video description. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.